Remember when they told you that the 2020 election was perfect? There was nothing to see, nothing to even talk about unless you're just some sort of crazy person who doesn't trust the government. And if that's the case, well, then you're the one who can't be trusted. They told you there was no proof of fraud, told you that all the states had actually violated their own constitutions and election laws under the cover of the pandemic, told you they were all justified. And I think the one they probably told the most was that Trump lost 62 election related cases, which is a line that is misleading in literally every possible way. But anyway, they told you that the election was perfect and the phone call between Donald Trump and Georgia officials was not perfect, that it was criminal. And it turns out that the charges related to that phone call have actually been dropped because the prosecution didn't allege an actual crime. Well, now we're finding in another court hearing that there was, in fact, very, very good reason for Donald Trump to be making that call in the first place. And I have some testimony that you got to see. It's going to prove it all. It's going to prove at least the appearance of fraud in the 2020 election in Fulton County, Georgia. It's a long one, but it's super, super important.
But the things that led me initially to have concern about everything was much, much earlier in 2020. And I can't remember exactly when I began. I started looking at our voter rolls. And, I did, some fairly simplistic research on the population of Fulton County, Georgia. And what I found out, and of course started pressing that with the elections department, through subsequent monthly meetings, et cetera, was that the numbers that I was able to ascertain, we had more voters on the active voter rolls than we did of the population of the entirety of Fulton County, and then extrapolating for those of voting age. So that became a major concern of mine, and frankly, lasted throughout and continued even after the 2020 election. So that was a big issue. And of course, inside that 2020 timeframe, really there was nothing done to, wasn't time, and I understand all of that, but there was nothing done to answer my questions on that. And that I thought, well, look, it's only fair to the voters of Fulton County that, we're having clean voter rolls here so that nobody's vote, is disparaged because, somebody may have come in and voted that, frankly, legally should not be able to. So I think that's very, very important for the be Fulton County or anywhere in the country.
Yeah, so obviously this guy hates democracy. He must. He believes that no one's vote should be disparaged or nullified or be made worthless by the fact that it's possible to have more people vote in Fulton County than there are actual residents in the entire county. Why would a member of the elections board even bother with something so trivial? Election fraud isn't a thing. It's never happened and it never will, right?
But from that, in the 2020 election itself, I had and other board members had requested that we obtain the chain of custody documentation from the department. And none of that was ever delivered. It was not delivered at the time of request leading up to the election, and was certainly not given. We weren't giving any. Was given nothing. Even leading up to this certification.
Let me interrupt you right there, Mr. Wingate, and ask to explain for the committee what you mean by chain of custody documents.
Okay. In the election staff, we had many components in many areas where absentee by mail ballots were being delivered to, and then picked up and then centralized to the processing center. And then, of course, there's documentation so that whoever is handing those envelopes, in that case, off to, then it's there to sign off that they've delivered to this person, and the transportation or transport of those documents, which goes on daily, in case you're not familiar, in the election cycle. And then once they are delivered to the location that they're destined to. There is another signature required on a document that shows that where it was picked up, driven to, delivered to, and then signed off on as received. And this is going on for multiple locations daily. And in terms of the memory cards that are being delivered so that they can be kept, in security, there's the same level chain of command chain of custody documentation that is delivered for all of the memory cards coming in from early voting locations, and of course on election day from each of the precincts.
All right.
So that's fundamentally what that encompasses.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much. I interrupted you to get that.